In this episode, we start with the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption, because this is one of the core ideas that makes modern secure communication possible. Encryption may sound like a single concept at first, as if all encryption works the same way, but there are different approaches for different problems. Symmetric encryption is usually used when speed matters and both sides already have, or can safely receive, the same secret key. Asymmetric encryption is used when trust, identity, and secure key exchange are harder problems, especially when two parties do not already share a secret. You do not need to become a mathematician to understand this topic. What you need is a clear mental picture of what each approach is good at, what problem each one solves, and why real systems often use them together instead of choosing only one. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Encryption is about protecting information so that someone who does not have the proper key cannot read it in a useful form. Plain information is readable. Encrypted information is transformed into a protected form that should look meaningless without the right key. The key is the special value used in the encryption and decryption process. If the key is protected, the encrypted information can remain private even if someone sees the protected data. If the key is exposed, the protection may fail. That is why encryption is never only about the algorithm. It is also about key management. You can have strong encryption in theory and weak protection in practice if the keys are stored poorly, shared carelessly, or reused in risky ways. As you study this area, keep asking who has the key, how the key is shared, and what happens if the key is lost or stolen. Symmetric encryption uses the same secret key to encrypt and decrypt information. The word symmetric points to that shared design. Both sides need the same key. If you encrypt a file with a symmetric key, you need that same key to decrypt the file later. If two systems communicate using symmetric encryption, both systems need access to the same secret key for that protected conversation. The main advantage is speed. Symmetric encryption is efficient and works well for large amounts of data. That is why it is commonly used to protect files, disks, volumes, databases, records, and live communication sessions once the secure session is established. When a system needs to encrypt a lot of data quickly, symmetric encryption is usually the practical choice. It is strong when the key is protected and the algorithm is modern. You can picture symmetric encryption like a locked box where both people have copies of the same key. If you have the key, you can lock the box and unlock it. If someone else has the same key, that person can do the same thing. This is convenient when the right people already have the key and can keep it safe. It becomes risky when the key has to be shared with someone new. If the key is sent over an unsafe channel, someone may copy it. If too many people or systems have the same key, it becomes harder to control. If one copy is exposed, every protected item that depends on that key may be at risk. Symmetric encryption is powerful, but it depends heavily on protecting the shared secret. The encryption may be fast, but key distribution can be the hard part. File encryption is a straightforward place to see symmetric encryption at work. If you encrypt a document, archive, or backup file, the system may use a symmetric key because it needs to protect the content efficiently. Full disk encryption and volume encryption also rely on fast encryption because the system may need to read and write data constantly while you use the device. Database encryption may protect large collections of information, and record-level encryption may protect specific sensitive values. In all these cases, speed matters because the protected data may be large or frequently accessed. But the same question always returns: where is the key, and who can use it? If a laptop drive is encrypted but the recovery key is stored carelessly, the protection is weaker. If a database is encrypted but the application has broad access to the key becomes a major target. The biggest challenge with symmetric encryption is secure key sharing. If you and another system already share the secret key safely, symmetric encryption can work very well. But what if you have never communicated before? What if you are connecting to a website for the first time? What if you need to protect a session across the public internet? You cannot simply send the secret key in plain form across the same network you are trying to protect. Anyone watching the traffic could capture it and then decrypt the conversation. This is the problem that pushes you toward asymmetric methods. Symmetric encryption is excellent for protecting data after the key is established, but it does not solve every trust problem by itself. It needs a safe way to create, exchange, or protect the shared key. Asymmetric encryption uses a key pair instead of one shared secret key. The pair includes a public key and a private key. The public key can be shared with others. The private key must be protected by its owner. These two keys are mathematically related, but they are not the same, and one should not allow someone to easily discover the other. This design changes the key sharing problem. If someone wants to send protected information to the private key holder, the public key can be used as part of that process without exposing the private key. If someone wants to verify a digital signature, the public key can help verify something created with the private key. The value of asymmetric cryptography is that it lets systems build trust and start secure communication without already sharing the same secret key. Asymmetric methods are especially useful when two parties do not know each other yet. When you connect to a secure website, your device needs a way to trust that it is talking to the real site, not an imposter. Public Key Infrastructure, PKI, helps with this by using certificates, certificate authorities, public keys, private keys, and trust chains. The certificate helps connect a public key to an identity, such as a website name. Your device can check whether that certificate chains back to something it already trusts. This helps solve an identity problem that symmetric encryption alone does not solve. A shared secret can protect a conversation, but first you need confidence about who is on the other side. Asymmetric cryptography helps create that confidence by supporting authentication, trust, and secure key establishment. Asymmetric encryption is not usually used to protect large amounts of data directly because it is slower and more computationally expensive than symmetric encryption. That does not make it weak or unimportant. It means it is better suited for specific jobs. It can help exchange or protect a symmetric session key. It can support digital signatures. It can help prove identity through certificates. It can help systems begin secure communication even when they have never shared a secret before. In real-world design, you should not think of symmetric and asymmetric encryption as rivals where one replaces the other. They solve different parts of the same security problem. Asymmetric methods help with trust and key exchange. Symmetric methods help protect the actual data efficiently after the secure setup is complete. Transport layer security, TLS, is a good place to see both approaches working together. TLS is used to help secure many browser connections and other network communications. When you connect to a secure website, asymmetric cryptography and certificates help your device verify the server and establish secure key material. After that setup, the session can use symmetric encryption to protect the actual flow of data. This combination gives you the best of both worlds. Asymmetric methods help solve the problem of trust and safe key agreement across an untrusted network. Symmetric encryption then protects the conversation quickly enough for normal use. When people say a secure website uses encryption, there is usually more than one cryptographic idea involved. The secure session depends on several pieces working together. The word session is important because secure communication often uses temporary session keys. A session key is used for a particular protected conversation or connection. Instead of using one long-term key to encrypt everything forever, systems can create fresh key material for a session and then discard it when the session ends. This limits the damage if a session key is exposed later. The long-term asymmetric keys and certificates help establish trust and protect the setup process, while the temporary symmetric key protects the active communication. This is another example of layering. One cryptographic method helps start the conversation safely. Another protects the conversation efficiently. When you understand that split, the topic feels less mysterious. Modern security does not pick one tool for every task. It combines methods based on what each one does well. You should also compare the key protection risks. With symmetric encryption, the shared secret key is sensitive for every party that uses it. If any authorized holder exposes the key, the protected data or conversation may be at risk. This makes sharing and storage especially important. With asymmetric encryption, the public key can be distributed, but the private key must be guarded carefully. If a private key is stolen, an attacker may be able to impersonate the owner, decrypt certain protected information, or create signatures that appear legitimate, depending on how that key is used. Both approaches depend on key protection, but the pattern is different. Symmetric encryption protects one shared secret. Asymmetric encryption protects the private half of a key pair while allowing the public half to be shared. A common misunderstanding is that asymmetric encryption is automatically better because it sounds more advanced. That is not the right way to think about it. Better depends on the problem. If you need to encrypt a large file quickly and you already control the key, symmetric encryption is usually the better fit. If you need to communicate securely with a system you have never met before, asymmetric methods help solve the trust and key exchange problem. If you need proof that software came from a trusted publisher and was not changed, digital signatures using asymmetric cryptography are useful. If you need to protect an active web session efficiently, symmetric encryption is likely doing most of the bulk data protection. Security is about choosing the right method for the job, not choosing the term that sounds strongest. For exam scenarios, listen for the purpose being described. If the question emphasizes speed, bulk data protection, file encryption, disk encryption, database encryption, or an already shared secret, symmetric encryption is probably involved. If the question emphasizes public and private keys, certificates, digital signatures, identity verification, secure communication between strangers, or key exchange, asymmetric cryptography is probably involved. If the question describes a secure web session, the answer may involve both, because TLS uses asymmetric ideas to establish trust and symmetric encryption to protect the session efficiently. Do not let the wording pull you into memorizing fragments. Ask what problem is being solved. Is the problem protecting a lot of data quickly, or is the problem safely establishing trust and keys across an untrusted environment? The conclusion is that symmetric and asymmetric encryption are partners in modern security. Symmetric encryption uses one shared secret key and is valued for speed, efficiency, and protecting large amounts of data. Asymmetric encryption uses a public and private key pair and is valued for trust, identity, digital signatures, and secure key exchange. Symmetric encryption is common in file encryption, disk encryption, database protection, and active secure sessions. Asymmetric cryptography helps strangers communicate safely by allowing trust to be checked before a shared session key is used. TLS shows how the two approaches can work together in a practical way. As you continue studying cryptography, keep the distinction simple in your mind. Symmetric means same secret key and fast data protection. Asymmetric means key pair, public trust, and safer ways to begin secure communication.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.